Hey guys, this is Ari from Literary Gladiators. How you guys doing today? Today I'm going to be going over a book that it's relatively disturbing, but does have a happy ending, or happy in whatever opinion you wish to view it as. And it's one I would recommend, but only if you're really got the heart for it. It's a tough book to read. This book is called Diary of an Oxygen Thief. The author of this book wished to remain anonymous, and frankly, if I tried to write a fictional autobiography, or in this case, a fictional, try to make it look like an autobiography, but it is in fact fictional, and it has this kind of content, which I will explain in a moment, I'd want to remain anonymous as well. So this book has quite a sudden start to it. Not gonna spoil it, so this is a spoiler for your review, as I should probably say before I even get started. But this book is basically it starts out with this guy who he's like alcoholic, has addictions to stuff. But the most important thing he has an addiction to is hitting women, making them feel like shit. Pardon my language, and just being deliberately offensive to women even after years of being in relationships with like one woman. He'll be extremely offensive, and he eventually goes into AA because of all the addictions he has. AA is an Alcoholics Anonymous. And afterwards, basically, he goes through life in the United States. He goes through life just being I think it was a finance executive, but like he's all his really low self-esteem, which I can identify with in many respects. But his self-esteem is so bad that like it looks like it's almost impossible to get out of. It's very dark, grim depression rather than one that just comes and goes. And he still treats people pretty poorly. He has trouble with his job, but in the end, something good does happen to him. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but something good does happen to him. And you really don't feel for this guy. Like, you do, but you don't. Like, because of all the bad things he has done to women, you begin to be like, this guy's a jerk. He's like a misogynist, you know? And just, it really isn't a guy you feel for. But then you go along in the story and you're like, I still feel for this guy. No matter how far in his life he goes, he changes what he thinks is wrong to try and right it. Not necessarily for the best reasons in this case, but he does try to right it. And I like to take that and put it into society these days. Like, a lot of people, a person is usually made up of whether they decide to fix their mistakes. In A Diary of an Oxygen Thief, we do have someone that fixes his mistakes. It's not necessarily for the best reason, but he does. He almost does it because he has to. That's kind of what AA is. I mean, alcoholism is not a fun thing. Beating women is not a fun it's not a good thing at all. None of these things are good, and you have to work on them. And so this kind of goes or a reflection of myself a little bit, because I will talk about this briefly with you viewers out there because I feel comfortable with you guys, and I know you don't mind, but like, I have been in a bit of a pickle, to quote Shakespeare a little bit there. I'm in a little bit of a pickle up until about 2 months ago. And 2 months ago, I just said to myself one day, I was like, you know what? I need to start respecting people. I need to start, like, treating people better. I need to start, like, generally being a better person. I need to say, oh, having a job is not the most important thing in the world. It's an important thing. But there are also, like, creativity is important, and being there for other people is important, and respect is important, and you just have to put everything together instead of singling out everything. And so once I started doing that, my life really began to turn around, and the last 2 months for me have been really good. And I think part of the reason that I was interested in Oxygen Thief is because when I went to the store to buy it, I read like the first 5-10 pages of it, and I think the first sentence in the entire book is, I liked hurting girls. You know that a book is not going to end with that guy continuing to like hurting girls unless you're writing something that isn't like you can tell by the book. You can tell by the fact that he's an anonymous, whoever this writer is anonymous. You can tell that he is going to change as the story progresses. So, Diary of an Oxygen Thief. If I had to rate it, as Josh would say, with 5 stars, I think he said half stars permitted. It's tough. It's a tough rating because it really depends if you have the stomach for it. If you can get through like the first 55, 60 pages, you can get through the book. But those first 55 or 60 pages are very difficult. And you need to have a heart of gold and a stomach of stone to be able to get through this book. I personally struggled at the beginning. I really did. But I knew in my heart that the character was going to change. I felt that it was going to change. And so I think I'm going to give this book a 3.5 stars, or maybe 4. Probably somewhere in there. I can imagine a lot of people would read the first 50 pages, throw the book away, and say, this is a piece of trash. I implore you to try and read this book. It is hard, but it is very much an adult read, despite the very kind of childish cover. Also, it is a New York Times, see that? New York Times, sorry, my finger's blocking it, New York Times bestseller. Surprise entry, actually. So, definitely, if you want to be strong, if you want to show your friends that you can read strong stuff, read this book. This is like horseradish. This book is basically the same as horseradish. It's really, really, really strong, but if you try to eat it and you eat the hottest stuff, you impress the people around you. And of course, you're going to get a red face reading this book, as you would with horseradish. So, this is again Diary of an Oxygen Thief. The title is kind of easy to find online, so don't worry about the author thing. But Diary of an Oxygen Thief is the name of the book. And yeah, so this is Ari, and I am signing off for Literary Gladiators. Hope you guys watch Season 7 coming up, premiering on May 4th, having nothing to do with Star Wars. Just May 4th is when we are premiering Literary Gladiators with Mystic River. So I hope you guys enjoy that, and keep reading. See you later.